what does these three signs that Yeshua had shown us in the heavens, what do they really mean? The Roman helmet was the ancient hat that the Roman Empire soldiers actually wore. And it's very distinct in the way that it looks on the top. It looks like it has some kind of a, like the comb of a rooster on top of it. What does it really represent? The Roman Empire was the political power that we saw in Nebuchadnezzar's dream, that was the legs of iron. And with an iron fist and with great power, they controlled all their subjects. But this also referred to, which we saw later became the Holy Roman Empire, through which the Pope, in a religious way, started controlling his subjects, the kings of the world, and all the other parts, people in the kingdom. So thus this hat represents he who will control like a Roman with an iron fist, but he would be have someone behind him that is the religious power. The next sign that appeared is the snake that swallowed his own tail. This sign is a very familiar sign that refers to the secret societies. It is one of the signs of Freemasonry. And also there are many different secret societies that in these days exist in the world, which many people think does not exist. Just by a little bit of a search, I found this picture on a website which is for Freemasonry. What does the snake really represent? It represents Satan, but it also represents a snake that swallows his own tail. It is as if the one is put against the other. In Freemasonry, there is a principle which we call the thesis and the antithesis. A thesis is if you have a problem in a country or a situation in an organization that you want to overthrow or you want to get control of, you create an opposite problem that would cause the two to clash with one another. We have seen this all over the world, and we have not even realized that these things were actually set up through secret societies. But we will see even further how Yeshua confirms it, and how we will confirm that all the presidents in the world, since the time of the creation of the United Nations, have been part of Freemasonry and have been in secret societies. But this very symbol does not originate only from there. It came all the way back from the time of the Roman Empire, when the religion, actually the whole idea was developed already, and how to play two different and opposite poles off against one another. Another secret society that we will look at, which is also very important for our discussion, is a secret society called the Bilderberger Group. And we will see how this is one of the most influential people, or all the influential people in the world together, that have an influence in the world. The next sign that appeared, which we said looks like the cross on the Crusaders' shields, is what we call a Rosicrucian cross. The real meaning of the Rosicrucian cross comes very far back. It comes from Henry, who saw this sign in the heavens, and he heard, "By this sign conquer." And that is where the Crusaders actually had their development. But what was the purpose of the Crusaders, and where did they come from, and why were they created? The reason the Crusaders was created was to protect the interest of the Roman Catholic Church. What had happened was, whenever the Roman Catholic Church started losing power or had to institute its power in a new region or wanted to extend its area of influence, it started using the Crusaders to do their military work for them. The sign that we have, which I found here, it says in Latin, Ordo Supremus Militaris Templi Hierosolymitani, which basically means the military order, the supreme military order of the temple hierarchy, which is, this very symbol came from a Jesuit site. And we will look at what is the Jesuits and do they exist today and what are they doing today. The Jesuits, another name for them is the Order of Jesus or the Order of the Temple. The other sign that we saw was Satan falling down from heaven on earth. And we will see how God has caused Satan to lose his power at the cross. But he still had power that he was delegated to him. Although he was cast out of the third heaven or lost his ability in the third heaven, he still had access to the third heaven. But he mainly stayed in the second heaven. And what Yeshua is saying, when Satan is cast out, that is out of the second heaven, he will lose his position there and he will enter a man. The whole of Freemasonry is actually a religion. It is a faith and a belief that is very perverse and twisted and uses and say that Christianity is twisted and it is the original religion. I did some research and I found the most interesting article that proves that Freemasonry actually is nothing else but a step-by-step entrance into a temple which they, and in their place, use as their lodge with a checkerboard floor as they enter step-by-step through their temple, going in just like the temple of Solomon. And the whole religion of Freemasonry is based on Solomon's temple, not according to the Bible, but according to their faith and their myth, which Satan has perverted the truth. How a man will enter behind the veil and go into the Holy of Holies, and then finally find out that there is a throne that is empty. And he himself will go and sit on this throne. We will see what Paul said, how the Antichrist, he will call himself God, and he will go sit in the temple of God saying that he is God. All these signs and more are actually based on satanic principles of the ancient religion of Babylon. When the Tower of Babel was built, and its architect being Nimrod, it had occultic practices that was practiced, which later was changed when Nimrod was killed by one of Noah's sons. And what happened was Noah had intercourse with his mother, Semiramis, and a child was born from this union. And they called this son Tammuz. And it's written about Tammuz in the book of Ezekiel, and we do not have time to go into all these things. Later, these names were changed to Isis, Horus, and Seth, which became a satanic triangle. It became a satanic trinity, how Satan tried to set up his trinity on earth. But each one of these organizations, both Freemasonry as well as the Jesuits, are based and exist today and are satanic organizations. Freemasonry is the biggest secret society in the world and a front for the serpent cult. Although the vast majority of its members are oblivious of this. The hero of Freemasonry is someone called Hiram Abiv, and his Freemasonic legend says that he was the Grand Master and architect of Solomon's Temple, who was killed for refusing to reveal the Masonic secrets. The story has many similarities with the legend of the death of Osiris in Egypt. So we can see that they have actually perverted the truth, and they have started to use sun god worship and started mixing all these things together to create a new religion. Freemasonry is basically a front to bring people in to start worshipping the sun and accepting the old pagan religions of Babylon. We see here in a picture in front of us, we see the current Pope Ratzinger next to a general and one of the high officials in the Freemasonry lodges, having all his insignia and religane on him, proving that these two know each other and they actually are friends and work together. Many of the Roman Catholic symbols that they wear on them, on their jackets and on their clothing, are actually Freemason symbols. But these are not Freemason symbols. In reality, they are sun god worship symbols. What really happened was when Osiris, or when Semiramis had a child called Tammuz, she said that Nimrod had died. They said Nimrod was killed, but he had resurrected, but he resurrected now from her womb in the form of Tammuz. And she called Nimrod the sun god. Herself, she became the mother goddess, and the child was called the moon god, the resurrected god. And later, these religions were incorporated into Egypt, and they were carried all the way through. And what many people have not realized, they were carried all the way through until Yeshua came to the earth. And after he left, they started mixing their leaven into the truth. And as we have seen earlier, the little horn, Constantine, mixed paganism and Christianity into one in order to bring unity between the two. And this was a false unity that Satan created in order to pervert the truth. Much of what we know today as church, and the very organization of how church is run, is all based on the ancient way that Babylonianism and the paganism was run. When Yeshua came, he never intended for us to have organizations and temples and all these things that come only from pagan worship. According to the story, Hiram Abiv built the temple. And this is also one of their words in Freemasonry. And as you grow up, Freemasonry is also based on we see the square and compass, which the G on the inside, which is for God. But they say that the name of God has disappeared, and they only had a G left. And you'll see in many of the top officials, there is a clear Freemason sign in their rings on their fingers, which is a square and compass. The square and compass is also all about geometry, which we'll see later, and what they really believe. But all these things are perverted things. The very movie called The Da Vinci Code was made to bring doubt and to mix the truth with religion in order to just cast confusion. For those who are not able to know the difference might think that it's the truth and accepted it as truth and rejecting Christianity as a lie. Satan has always come as the liar. Even when he tempted Yeshua, he said, "If you are the Son of God, make these stones into bread." He just comes with a little bit of doubt. Just like he spoke to Eve, he said to her, "Did God really say?" So Satan wants to bring doubt and thus bringing confusion so that men would compromise and accept the lie. Yeshua, the God of heaven and earth, knows the hearts of man, and he knows what they are doing behind the scenes. And many who have even attempted to reveal the lies of Satan and what is happening in the top echelons of the world and in the Roman Catholic Church, they were treated as people who are either fundamentalists or they were what you call conspiracy theorists. What we will look at now and will prove by Yeshua, signs in the heavens that the God of heaven and earth, the real God, who is the Creator, has shown two witnesses, proves that these things are not conspiracy theories, but that they are true. We'll just use a few things to prove that these things are true from the media. Not that we need them as a witness to believe the truth, but only so that you may understand and believe that these things are not made up, but they are real. And they are actually very evident. In the religion of Freemasonry, which is based on masonry, the word mason actually is talking about geometry and building. Each brick that's built on top of another does not know about the brick underneath itself. So masonry is built up of different levels, and you can grow through the levels. But it's a secret organization in the fact that those in the higher levels, those in the lower levels, does not know what those in the higher levels are doing. Therefore, the fronts who actually start to bring people in does not expose their secrets, but you have to be inaugurated and you have to be initiated and you have to prove yourself step by step as you grow through the levels. And then also, we will see now in the rest of this part, we'll just look at some secret symbols that they use to actually reveal to each other that they are part of this secret organization. One of the symbols that they use is hand signs. They're called secret Masonic hand signs. It says in the photographs, many might say, but these hand signs, they're just made up. And it's just by accident that people are doing these signs when they are taken photos of. But when we look back into history, we'll see, it says the positioning of a given individual's hand is debatable. However, in paintings and portraits, the individual being portrayed is usually posing for the artist. Therefore, these renditions are much less debatable as to what the hand signs is conveying. Hand gestures commonly used by Masons posing for portraits. A common one known as the hidden hand, whereby the right hand is placed partially or fully within one's shirt or jacket. Masonic kings and presidents, prime ministers, and media personalities have been photographed posing the hidden hand. Another common sign is the claw, or the right hand at chest bending all the knuckles into a claw. Or the horned hand is a sign of recognition between those in the occult. We will now look at these signs in a little bit more detail. It is not the purpose of this seminar to reveal all these hand signs, but only to give you an indication that this is the truth. When pointed at someone, it means to place a curse. Note the thumb of the fingers given by the left hand. We'll see the sign in a moment. The horned hand also presents the horned god of witchcraft, which is Pan. And we'll see the thumb under the fingers are given by the right hand. So whenever anybody in a picture makes these signs, which we'll see in a moment, are too obvious, we must know that they are part of a secret Masonic organization. Not all these organizations are the same. There are many offshoots and branches of Freemasonry, but they are all the same. They're all based on the same religion. When we look at the secret Masonic hand signs, we see that there are different hand signs that actually mean different things, and they also mean that you are on a certain level and a certain secret have been revealed to you, and you are actually to be trusted, and you are able to relate with certain individuals who know and work together on certain levels. The due god of the fellow craft. The due god of the fellow craft represents the position of the hands when taking the oath of the fellow craft decree. My right hand on the Holy Bible in a square and compass, and my left hand forming an angle, supported by the square, and my hand in a vertical position. Then we have the sign of the fellow craft. The sign of the fellow craft alludes to the penalty of the fellow craft obligation. The sign is made by cupping the right hand over the left breast, drawing it quickly across the body, and then dropping the hand to the side. The penalty that the sign alludes to is having my left breast torn open and my heart plucked out and given to the wild beasts of the field and the fowls of the air. The religion of Freemasonry is based on fear. Every level, as you go higher, there is a promise that you make that if you break or reveal the secrets of the secret society, then these things will happen to you, thus cursing your own life. Many of those who are part of Freemasonry have not realized that they have cursed themselves, speaking words of curses over themselves, which, if you want to get free from it, has to be broken first, and you have to be released from it. We've actually had some instances where people who had been part of Freemasonry, who died in car accidents, were completely beheaded, as we'll see in the next signs that are revealed. The due god of a master mason alludes to the position of the hands when taking the oath of the master mason. Both hands resting on the Holy Bible in a square formation and compass. These levels of the master mason is actually, as far as I understand, it's only the second level in masonry. When you join it, you have to go through rituals, and these hand signs you are taught as you go through these rituals. The sign of the master mason. The sign of the master mason alludes to the penalty of the master mason's obligation to have my body cut in two, my bowels removed and burned to ashes, which are then to be scattered to the four winds of heaven. The duat of an entered apprentice. The duat of an entered apprentice represents the position of the hand when taking the oath of an entered apprentice. My left hand supporting the Bible and my right hand resting thereon. We see how the two hands are turned upside down and they are pointing towards one another. And this is the sign of an entered apprentice. The sign of the entered apprentice alludes to the penalty of the entered apprentice obligation. The sign is made by drawing the right hand rapidly across the neck as is shown on the left. The penalty that the sign alludes to is having my throat cut across, my tongue torn out by its roots, and my body buried in the rough sand of the sea at the low water mark, where the tide ebbs and flows twice in 24 hours, should I ever knowingly violate this, my entered apprentice obligation. We see the gruesome signs, the meaning of these signs and how gruesome they are, having their throat cut. These signs actually are all curses that are also pointing to something else that we will see at the end of these things, and what it really points to, and how a person is entering into a occultic faith, starting to slowly being deteriorated until you accept the religion of Satanism. The horned hand is a very significant sign that we have seen many of the presidents in the world sometimes make it. And we might wonder, why are they doing it? The horned hand is a sign as I love you signal, as most interpret it. But the truth is, it actually reveals, and the meaning of it is a reversed psychology, which means black is white and white is black. The sign of recognition between those in the occult, as we have seen, and when pointed, it could mean a curse. And it represents the God that they worship. Now we might say, but that is just a coincidence. Well, look at all these photos. We see that all the presidents of the world, this is the President of France, President Obama, the President Bush, the leader of Canada at this moment, even when they meet together with China, all these people are making this sign. And last but not the least, we see Pope Ratzinger making this sign with both hands as he come out to meet the crowds. Why do they do this? Why is it on pictures? It's all captured on pictures. It's captured in photos. So that when you see these signs and you are a Freemason, you will know we are together, we work together, and we accept one another. So even though you are from opposite worlds or opposite countries, which seem like you are actually in opposition to them, you might be in the part which we call the thesis, or you might be in the other part, which is the antithesis, the antagonistic one. You will still know that you're actually behind the scenes working together. The horned hand is also a very significant sign that points to Satan, the horns of Satan, or Pan, as we know him in the ancient myths or stories, who is no one else but Satan revealed. The next sign is called the fangs, or the two fangs. And it basically looks like it is a certain way of standing by pointing your two fingers up into the air. What it really means is that the purpose of a fang is to bite and to insert venom. Mammals have fangs that are canine, with canine tooth, used for biting and for tearing flesh. In spiders, it is a venom-injecting tooth, and spiders also have fangs which are part of the Ceracea. Some fantasy creatures, such as dragons and vampires, also have fangs as well. In this picture, we see Tony Blair standing in a position with his hands pointing. We also see other men having the same symbols. And last of all, we have a person who was taken in a photo where he stands with two fingers. And this is a Jesuit priest, a very well-known Jesuit priest. The next sign is very important. It's a sign called the cosmos signal. We have seen right in the beginning of the seminar how when the Pope actually comes out to so-called bless the people, he always has two fingers up in the air, and he uses these two fingers, his middle finger and his pointing finger together, to bless and to say in the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. But what does it really mean? The two fingers actually comes from a statue which is the statue of Jupiter. Although in the Roman Catholic Church and in the Vatican they say that it is Peter's statue, but this is the original statue of the god Jupiter. And he also has his two fingers up in the sky. We see that this religion of worshipping the sun god came all the way through. The Roman Catholic Church in the foreground is basically a secret organization, having its members in the lower part not knowing what the higher echelons is doing. And in order to know what they do, you need to be able to be trusted and you need to go up to a higher level. There are very intense things that they are doing which are blasphemous and vulgar in the higher echelons, with homosexuality as one of them, in order to enter the so-called secrets of Satan. But this also means that the working together to them of politics and state. We see here how even Hitler's men are making this sign when they were sworn in. Hitler, which very few people actually realize, was a Roman Catholic Church and was under the control of Roman Catholic popes. And we'll show in a moment how Yeshua had shown us that this is the truth. This is not only a conspiracy theory, but as we have seen in Revelations, that they have committed adultery with all the kings and presidents and all the rulers of the earth. Here we see a sign called V, which many of us also know as a peace sign. But the real question is, what does that V really mean? The V actually is also two horns, and it is split, but it's also a square and compass, which says, I am a Mason, and we are working together. We see Hillary Clinton here making that sign. The cosmos single with three fingers, also indicating the all-seeing eye. There are also other hand signs that also have the same meaning the all-seeing eye. Putting the fingers together in a kind of a triangle, looking like, or looking through it, actually make you clearly see the all-seeing eye. Here we have a picture of the former Jesuit Secretary General, as well as Lady Gaga, making these signs. What does it mean? That all of us are working together. Some other hand signs or body postures that is also not well known, but that we just included for you to be able to see how clear these signs actually are. As we have said right in the beginning, that if these signs are made and they are on photographs, then it could be probably by accident. But if it is in a portrait, as we've seen here, portraits of men sitting with their hands under their chin, which mean if I reveal the secrets, my throat can be cut off right here. We see pictures of the different presidents making a very funny kind of move, touching pinky and having their three hands together, clearly showing that they are working together. We see the former Jesuit general, as we've seen before, making different hand signs, giving indications to those who are working on the other side or with him. This is what they are about to do so that they might work together. We see Gorbachev making a sign as if to say, we agree, let's work together. And then we see a sign just to confirm that it is a Freemason sign of three Freemasons standing in their full insignia, in their clothing, making the sign across the chest so that we might know that this is a Freemason sign. A sign that is very recognized and actually are on many portraits and in many photographs is the sign called the hidden hand. The illustration shows the sign of the master of the second veil, which is a 7th degree Mason from the 1866 book of Duncan's Masonic Ritual and Monitor. We will see how very influential people high up in the higher ranks of Freemason, presidents making this sign. The hidden hand sign is a sign of Jabulon, the sacred god of masonry. Jabulon is known to the Masons as the lost name of God. When Masons learn of the lost name of God, they are at least receiving the 13th degree in the Scottish Rite or the 7th degree of the York Rite, known as the Mason of the Secret or the Royal Ark degree. This name of the Masonic God is so sacred it takes 3 Royal Ark Masons to be able to speak it. The Masonic material identifies the 3 as Jah for Yahweh, Baal, and Osiris, or On, spelled Un, in the name Jabulon. On was a city in Egypt where the worship of the sun god Osiris is alleged to have begun. Logically, the name should be spelled Yabalon. But Duncan's Masonic Ritual and Monitor admits that over the years the spelling has been corrupted by Freemasonry until it reached its current form. We see here very important people making this sign. The sign that we see here is is Napoleon Bonaparte putting his hand on the inside of his jacket. Why would Napoleon Bonaparte pose on a picture putting his hand on the inside of his jacket? It might seem foolish to us. Maybe it was cold on that day. We also see a sign of 3 men making an ark that before they could reveal it to the entrance participant, they have to be 3 together to reveal this so-called sacred name. This is truly blasphemous to God. We can see that why God is saying that they write on the leopard different names of blasphemy.